Hi there, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. We're really excited to kick off. We're just going to give just another minute for people to join, and then we'll get started. Alrighty, I see all these folks trickling in. Let's kick off, and we only have about half an hour today, so I want to make sure that we get through to everyone's questions. And yeah, thanks so much for joining, everyone. This is our first of a series of webinars that we'll be hosting throughout the year, material tracking for facade teams. I'm actually really excited about this, and I hope everyone is as well. Just to get started, to kick us off is introducing ourselves in case you don't know who we are. I am Gabby, I'm the head of growth at Matrak, and my co-host with me is Zoe, who is one of our key account managers here.
Hi, everyone.
So pumped to be here, and thanks so much for doing this with me, Zoe. I think the crowd will be really, really happy with what the stuff that we put together. I certainly am. Just as a quick overview, everyone is on mute on their GoToWebinar control panel. However, all the way at the bottom, you'll see that there's a chat box. If you have any questions at any time, please feel free to drop those in, and we'll ask them throughout the presentation, or we'll leave them for the end. It doesn't matter. But really keen to see what everyone's thoughts are, and if there are any pressing questions, we definitely want to have space to answer them. And this is just a quick agenda. This is what we're going to go through today. First, talk a little bit about the benefits of material tracking for facade teams. Talk about through the demonstration how to connect your supply chain and what every role plays throughout the platform, and how to really get the best use out of it, those best practices to track facade in Matrak. And then, of course, just kind of giving a bit of a recap, what did we learn, key takeaways, and the Q&A. So let's get started. Zoe, when I was putting this presentation together, it really stood out to me like how much benefit there is to material tracking. And obviously we're talking today about facade teams specifically, but every role across the supply chain that work on facade as one of those first trades on a construction project really see a lot of benefits on implementing this. I know that you've spoken to a lot of our customers day to day on what those things are and what their challenges are and how we solve them. Do you want to kind of give us a run through of what the key benefits are, and yeah, what do they get out of it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. It's really fascinating talking to people on the ground and talking to the different, I guess, stakeholders. You've got builders, installers, suppliers, and they all have a slightly different thing that's really important to them. So for Matrak, it's a subby-first platform. So a lot of our installers are wanting to, one, make sure that the materials are ready for them on time so they can call them up to site in a just-in-time sort of delivery, particularly for tight sites, but also ensuring that they can prove that it was installed correctly. So they put in a beautiful facade panel, and then some bozo starts angle grinding a beam above it and destroys the glass. They can actually prove with a date and time stamp that that panel was installed correctly and it wasn't them. So you remove that finger pointing. From the and suppliers' point of view, they can see where the panels are at in manufacture. So pre-COVID, everyone used to pop over to China, which is where a lot of them are constructed or fabricated, and they could eyeball those panels on site in the factory itself. Can't really do that anymore, and we're now out of the habit. So what Matrak allows is that real-time feed of when panels have been created, all of the quality checks that are involved with that, because that's become a bigger and bigger deal, and also tracking the chain of custody, which is something that's become quite prevalent in Queensland. but it's no doubt going to spread throughout the rest of Australia. Being able to prove that that panel has been certified and that it's the same panel all the way through. Matrak allows you to do that. So that's been a really big value point for a lot of our customers as well. So I guess they're the key things. For the most part, it's about mitigating the risk on all sides.
Mm.
From the subby, you get paid. From the builder, you know your stuff's coming on time and that it's certified. For the suppliers, they know exactly where it is in transit. And also for the manufacturers, they can prove, okay, these were all perfect when they left. If they're broken, that's a problem with the transit company. So they're really key points that I see out on the ground.
Yeah, totally. Obviously, what immediately resonates to me is saving that reduced waste and reducing that risk, right? We know that these construction projects are there's such a time an investment, right? Both of time and in money, and obviously everyone involved wants it to be successful. And with the supply chain disruptions and that we're everyone's seeing right now, it's really about minimizing that as much as possible. So, really cool to see how we can solve those real world problems at the moment. I want to move to this slide, which I know you and I always are fans of because it really shows how the system is used in real life. Can you talk a little bit about what we're seeing here?
I'd love to. I love this slide. So this building is an icon building around the corner from the Matrak head office in Melbourne. So you can see we've got the building on the right-hand side and you can see the facade going up. This building's actually topped out now, so this was taken a few months ago. And then on the left-hand side, we've got how it looks in the app itself. So you can see the dark green areas on that image are the panels that have gone up and they've been installed and ticked off. Then we've got the scars that have been notified or in that lighter green. So they've been actually manufactured but not installed at this point. Then we've got the orange on top. They're in progress of being shipped over to Australia. And you'll notice that there's a little red dot towards the left-hand side in that orange section. That's actually a defective panel. The benefit of this is you can see exactly what's going on with your build without necessarily having to walk the site or be on site at all. And it's updated in real time. So, for example, that defective panel, and there may be more of them, that can be notified back to the manufacturer in real time. So they know to start remanufacturing that particular panel. So you're not creating delays and getting all the way up to that second from the top level and going, oh, we're missing a panel here, quickly reorder it, and that causes a 6-week delay potentially. So it's just a really simple way and real life of how Matrak can be used in the field.
Oh, so cool. And even just talking about that example of the defect, right? Sometimes, even though you expect the team to be on site and doing their rounds and doing their checks, they might not even notice that for weeks at a time or day, God forbid that all of a sudden everything's installed and it's this one panel that has been broken or installed improperly, and then no one knows what's going on. So everyone's running around trying to figure that out and find that, like you were saying, not only that chain of custody, but then also that chain of that audit history on what's going on. And this is just a really simple way to know what's defective and notify them immediately and get that redone.
Yeah, 100%.
So honestly, that's kind of that's all the slides we're going to really share. The proof is in the pudding, and I really want to hand it over to Zoe to walk us through what it looks like in action. Really, like how do facade teams today use Matrak and how they can really benefit from this supply chain visibility and connecting all of the players on the supply chain. So I'll hand it over to you, Zoe, to present.
Awesome. So I'll just share my screen. Will allow me to.
Yep, so we're seeing the...
Are you seeing that okay?
I see the slides at the moment.
Okay. There we go. You'd think I'd never used a computer before.
There we go. Oh,
Very good now.
Sweet, we
Perfect.
see it.
All right, cool. So we're going to step through the web interface in today's demo. We've got two. We've got the web and then we've got the mobile phone, which is what's used on site mostly. And we can go through that a little bit later on. When you first log into Matrak, you land on what we call your dashboard. So this gives you a broad overview of where the job's at. In this case, we're just looking at facade, and you can see along the top here, we've got the number of deliveries, number of materials being tracked in this particular project. We can also add what's called widgets, and these can be sort of summaries of anything you like. So it might be defective, it could be number of panels installed, for example. So if I scroll down a little bit, in this particular demo, we're looking at a 25-story building. Each one of the columns through here represents a floor. And you can see as I hover over the columns and the different colours, I get a percentage of things completed. I can also click through into those exact materials as well. I'm just going to scroll down a little bit further, and you'll see down the bottom here, we've got a number of statuses. They're all color coded, so it's really simple. At a glance, you can see, okay, orange is manufactured and those elements have been manufactured for us. And all of these are completely customizable. I'm going to come up to the far left-hand side, which is where our navigation is. So if I click on this bar, oops, she says, that'll expand out for me. And this is all of our navigation for the Matrak web interface. And I'll go through most of this with you. So we've got the dashboard. What I really love is you've got these little tooltips sitting right here as well. So if you're unsure of anything when you're brand new, you can click directly into a knowledge base article. We also have live help down in the bottom right-hand corner. There's a little smiley face where you can type questions, and there's actual Matrak humans on the end of that as well. Then we've got our explore, plans and drawings, which is where a lot of people tend to live from the installation side of things. So I can scroll in and out just using my mouse wheel. But what I'm going to do is take it right back to the manufacture stage. I'm going to start in this explore, because this is where the manufacturers tend to live whilst they're manufacturing those particular panels and doing the quality checks. So I'm moving to explore and all records. I want to look for the facade panels that I'm about to manufacture. So in this case, I'm going to come to all, and I'm interested in facade in this case, and I want to look at the facade on level 2. So I've selected all of those 2 elements. You can really drill down and just go to one unique panel if you want to. In this case, I just want all of level 2, and I'm going to hit search. So you can see I get a nice list similar to Excel, and we can also sort this list simply by clicking on the headers of these columns. So you can see I can bring it up and I can bring it down. So you can see I've got a number of not started panels sitting in this list. These can also be imported from their Excel spreadsheets from the manufacturer's system as well. So I'm going to select one of these and I can update that individually, but that's too slow for me. What I'm going to do is hold my shift key down and I can multi-select. So we've got 11 panels sitting here, I believe, and I can say, okay, right click, view 11 records, and you can see I've got all of those sitting in here. So I've got each unique panel ID sitting along the top. I've got the status sitting here. So I can move that to manufactured. It's still at my factory. If we come down the bottom here, we've got our quality checks that can be ticked off. Now, quite often they're done on the mobile phone. We've also got an external scanner, because a lot of the Chinese factories in particular are becoming phone free on the floor. So it's just a little tap and we're done. So I can hit
Hey,
save.
Zoe,
Yeah.
while you're there, we actually have a question about that, the quality checks. If someone has their own quality QA system already, the question is about what process would that change, and if any of those if we have our own quality checks, you know, can that be done? Can that be customized?
Absolutely. So if I've just jumped into one of the panels right here, all of these are completely customizable. So if you've got your own quality checks as a manufacturer, we can put your quality checks in here. We can also associate a photo directly to that particular check. So if you require that check, it can be aligned to the particular check you need. As an installer, you're going to have different quality checks or ITPs that you need, and you can have your ones in there. So you don't see your manufacturer's quality checks because, quite frankly, they're not relevant to you. So it's completely customized to whatever you're doing. So absolutely is the answer to that one.
Awesome.
So I'll hit close. So all of these have been manufactured and they're going to be ready for delivery and loading onto a stillage and into a container. One of the great bits about Matrak is the traceability and making it super easy for everyone, particularly on site. So to identify each individual panel can be a little bit of a challenge. The way we get around that is the use of QR codes. So these are scanned using your mobile device. At the point of manufacture, this is where the QR code generally would go on. So again, as the manufacturer, I'm going to click on these 11. I'm going to right click and say view 11 records. And my apologies, my internet seems to be running a little slow today. Of course it is, because I'm doing a webinar. So move that to packed, and we're going to say it's at the Chinese ports. So once I've changed or updated that status, what I want to do is make sure I've got a QR code to go on each of these panels. So to do that, again, I've multi-selected and I come up to the far right-hand corner here, we've got a little menu with the 3 dots. So I click on that and select quick QR print. Okay, so we support all sorts of different label sizes. I'm going to just stick with the generic one at the moment. We can have different IDs sitting through here. So you've got your QR code, but then you've also got information that a human can read without having to scan it. So in this case, I might have the project name and the floor it's going to. In this case, I just want to print the selected, not every single panel itself. So I can hit on print. And this will generate a PDF for us. And this then can be printed out on any standard printer. So you don't need any special equipment. To do that, I'll just simply click download and that will download for me. So I'm going to save that right there for use a little bit later on. And it really is as simple as that. So we've got our QR codes ready to go and you'll see them in play a little bit later on.
With the QR codes as well, it's such a, I know that our COVID times has brought us back to these QR codes that we hadn't used, but it is such an easy way. You just stick them on that material that could be associated, like you said, we can call out obviously where that specific, put details on what level it's going in or what apartment or what stillage, and they essentially can all connect together, right? Like if you were to, let's say you had 100 panels going in this one specific stillage, people can know that they're in that stillage and that QR code because it's connected in the back end. It still connects all together, right?
100%, 100%. So Gabby's actually forecasted where I'm going with this. So we've got our QR codes all stuck on our panels. We now need to put those panels into a container or a stillage. So we can QR code the stillage itself and the container because you've often got several stillages in a container. I'll keep it simple because I'm cognizant of time and I could actually bang on about Matrak all day, but I won't, I promise, unless you want me to. So from here, I've still got these 11 panels selected. They've been checked, they've have their QR codes stuck onto them. So from here, what I want to do is add this to a delivery. So we can pre-set up the deliveries or you can create them on the fly. So I'm going to click on add to delivery or container. And you can see I've got all of these materials. And what I'm going to do is a record type, and I'm going to add it to stillage 404. Now, for any of the computer nerds out there, I hope it's not a 404 and therefore lost, but we hit save. And I accidentally jumped to another page, but I'll pop back to my all records and you'll see that they've now been added directly into that particular stillage. So I hit search. And you can see those have all been added into the stillage itself. Awesome. So that's basically it for the factory. That's been loaded onto the stillage in the container. The cool thing is that you can have your logistics and 3PL company in the system with you. So they can come on and just scan the container or scan the stillage and know X number of panels are sitting in there and update as received into Australia, for example.
That's
Are there
awesome.
any questions there so far, Gabs?
The only question that's come up actually, and I think it's a perfect time to ask it, is how can we keep track of where the materials are in transit? And I think that plays a little bit to what you just spoke about, the logistics piece. Can you how would you answer that?
Yeah, for sure. So what we encourage people to do, and what a lot of our customers do, they'll actually create a QR code for the stillage itself as well. So if I come back to all records, the way that can be done is once I've popped things onto a stillage, instead of searching for facade, I can search for stillages or shipping containers and hit search on here. And we'll just let my internet catch up. So you can see we've got quite a few stillages in this demo. And again, I can search it by or reorder how it looks through here. Really simple. So to create that QR code for the stillage itself, again, we can select several or we can just select one and print the QR code through here. So that way your logistics company can just scan that stillage and say, okay, this has been received into the Sydney docks, and you can see that updated in real time. What we can do is create a delivery report. So I'm going to jump, this is the point where I start jumping around a little bit, so you can see things in real time. So if I come down on the left-hand side here, we've got something called custom reports. Absolutely love this feature. It allows you to search and filter through information that's updated in real time. So you can create your own shipping report, so you know exactly where all the stillages are and therefore where all the panels in each of those stillages are at any given time. And this updates in real time for you. So if I come across to my shipping report, once it loads, my
And
apologies.
what's that? Yeah, perfect. There we go.
You can see these are all the ones that we marked off as packed. They're all in 404. We can also associate photos. So if you wanted to take a photo of those stillages inside the container, or when your logistics company comes and picks up the container, opens it up and something's shifted and broken, they can take a photo. We can then notify, or Matrak can then notify the manufacturer straight away that these items are broken, that you're going to need to remanufacture them. So really, really straightforward.
That's great. And I mean, yeah, totally. And talk about saving time. I mean, just imagine you don't even see that the panel's broken until it's open, and then it's calling one person to call another person to call another person to get that panel reordered, and it can delay everything. So the fact that it's all updated in real time and people get notified in real time saves a lot of time.
Exactly, it does. And like from this page, your shipping company would probably use the mobile phone and just scan the QR code and tick it off that way. But if I want to do it for a report, I can do this. So I can select all of these and I can say, okay, this is now arrived at the Sydney docks. There we go. So Let's make it arrived in yard. The cool thing about updating this all at once is the subcontractor, the installer, can see, okay, all these panels are now in the yard ready for delivery. I can call them up when I need to.
Absolutely.
So that clarity of information across all of the stakeholders, and that's where a lot of the power lies within Matrak itself.
Very cool.
So I'm going to jump around again on you. So I'm going to come back to the far left-hand side here and come into my drawings, which is this little pencil icon. And I'm not interested in the apartments at the moment. I'm just going to scroll down. You can also type in the box up here just to grab your level or what you're looking at, wanting to look at. Alrighty, so we've got our facade on level 2, and I'll just let my computer catch up. I think it's already on Australia Day holiday, the internet down here. My apologies.
It's ready for some time off, I think.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Well, while that loads, actually, one question that did come through is, can you use Matrak without having all different, having everyone on the system? And I know you have a really good answer for that. I do too, but I wanted to hear what your thoughts were on that one.
So you're talking about the different stakeholders, like different companies?
Right, exactly. Like the question is, do we need to have every single company on the system to make it useful?
The answer is no, but it's much more powerful with everyone on. So we do have a number of customers that use Matrak to manage their internal quality checks all the way through to delivery to site, and that's becoming more and more demanded. Particularly, there's a lot more companies, builders, particularly tier ones, trying to use local manufacture because of the instability around the supply chain that we've seen. And so, but they're also demanding that those quality checks are spot on and that it's reported really well. So we've got a number of our customers that just use it internally. They've started using it internally and been doing a great job for, 8, 9, 12 months. But now looking at, oh, actually, it might be useful to start joining their install team or adding the builder directly in as well.
Totally.
So,
no, I was
yes,
going to say,
but there's a lot more value when everyone's together because you can see exactly the movement all the way through.
Absolutely, exactly. I was going to say the same exact thing. Where
so we finally loaded.
Yeah, we've loaded.
Yeah, we have. All right, so you can see I've got my facade out right here. We've got all of those panels that we were updating through here. You can see the color code has updated automatically. I can see that it's arrived in the yard. I can click on these. So I'm now the installer. So I'll put my installer hat on. I can click through these and update them automatically. It might be I want to know something just about this individual panel. So I can view and edit that one. And all I'm doing is clicking on once. And the cool thing is with the mobile app, the drawings are included in that as well. So you can literally just go around and click on your mobile phone or your iPad or your Android device and update information or pull different information through. So it looks like my computer's just being very special today. So I'll give it just a moment.
That's okay. That is, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so that's not sure if you can see that there.
Just a little bit closer, yeah.
Mobile
there you go. Yeah.
It looks really clean and clear. It's actually a lot easier to use than the web version as well. I mean, the web version's pretty straightforward, but yeah, the mobile app is fantastic. So you can see we've got that individual panel that we can see. So we can look at all of the ITPs that might be in there and I can click those off. We can add photos. Quite often with Facade, we add the measurements of those panels as well. That can be added in. We can put weights in, whatever you might need. You can also see up the top here, we can include subcomponents if you require, so the subheads and sub-brackets. I come across to view related. I can click on this one right here. We can see everything relating to that panel. So I've got the subhead, the sub-bracket, and the stillage it was loaded onto. And we've got the activity log. So this gives you a full audit history of what's happened to that panel, who's ticked different information off. So once it loads, you'll see it'll look pretty boring because it just says Matrak support, because it's literally just me updating things all the time. But each individual can have their own login. So with your subscription, you can have as many people in your company on the system as you like. And you can see exactly the time and date that a status was changed for that particular panel or group of panels. So if we come back here, we can also upload files. So some people like to upload technical data here, and that can be uploaded automatically. We can also add photos directly in here. So if I want to upload a photo from my desktop, I can do that really, really simply. We'll add that one, and we'll see that appear down the bottom. So that can also be exported when I show you the reports. And literally I hit save.
And same
So
use case for the mobile phone as well, where you can upload photos directly from your essentially from your camera roll, or take a photo and then upload it right to that material card.
100%. And to be honest, that's the better way of doing it. So that's really where it tends to be done, and I will show you a little bit more. So if you're installing, you can do it panel by panel, but quite often the install works, you'll do panel, 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 and then update everything at the end. So to do that in the web version, I can click on one of these and simply hold my shift key down. And as I move over each of these, you can see it's been selected. And I'll make sure I select all of them through here. And I can update the status all at the same time. So you don't need to go panel by panel. It can be really just updated as required. So that's the basics. If we come back now, so you can see, I can say that's arrived in the yard, that's the status. I might want to move it to installed. I'm going to hit close and we're going to move back to our customer reports right here. And I'm going to move to my facade report. So a lot of our customers have a nice big screen sitting in the site office. They'll have their customer reports open on that screen. What I love about these is they update in real time. So if I'm sitting in the office just keeping an eye on everything that's going on, I want to know when we can claim for level 2, for example, because it's been 60% installed, so we can put a claim in. I can just use my customer report. That can be exported to Excel, including all the photos and all the checklists, and sent through to the builder. Ideally, the builder would be on the Matrak system so they could see for themselves. So you can see I'm just looking at level 2, so I've created a few filters here, and we could, if we do a longer demo at some point, we can include how to do those, but I'm going to keep it pretty light. So I'm just scrolling down a little. And at the same time, I'm going to open up on my other screen. Cool. So you can see we've got the arrived in yard items right here. And I should have updated that. They're not in the Chinese ports anymore. So that's pretty easy. I can select these and update them. So for this next part, I'll just move up tiny little bit more. Goodness me, internet.
It's just our Yeah, it always happens when you don't need it to happen, doesn't it?
That's right. So on my other screen, I've got the QR codes that we printed out. I can quickly move those over and show you. And what I'm going to do is grab my mobile phone. So you can see those sitting right there. So I'll just
Yep.
expand that. Grab my mobile phone right here. I'm opening up my scanner and I'm selecting a number of these panels. I probably look really funny on camera now. So I've selected all of those and I'm hitting view and edit. So I'll get rid of that one right now. And what I'm going to do is change the status from arrived in yard and to on site.
I gotta
And
say, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I got excited about something.
so this will actually update in real time for us, and we can add photos in there as well.
And I was actually gonna just say that I scanned one of those QR codes on the screen as well. And what was really cool is it went from directly right. Oh, you can see my face doubles. It
Yeah,
said arrived in yard, and all of a sudden it turned into green as an installed, and it's right there.
yeah,
It literally happened like magic. So it was just really cool to see you actually doing it on your side, and I seeing it on my side just immediately change. So even though
yeah.
our web experience is a little slow due to our internet, it is in real time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this will load up, but in the meantime, I realised I've run over time, which is terribly unprofessional. I apologise. Have we got any last minute questions before we close out? Yeah,
Yeah. So the only other question was around from the actually we have an installer ask about progress claims, and obviously we hear this a lot from our installer as installer customers as well on, okay, this looks great, but how do I make sure I get paid, right? It's all about making sure that the job, they don't want to be tracking down and all of that. So can you talk a little bit about how we even if we can't show it, how do we do progress claims in through Matrak, and how easy it is for our installers to do as well.
100%. So again, we do it through this custom reports. This page is really powerful. And what we can do is come through and say, okay, I want, in this case, everything on level 2. So you can see we've got level 2 sitting in here. I want everything that's installed, everything facade in this case, because we don't really care about joinery. And we can also select the status of installed, I'll come through and say I want status. We can say we want everything that's installed. So I'll come through here and we'll click that one. From here, we've got this cool little button right here.
Nice.
So you can see that one right there. We can download this to CSV or Excel. So
Awesome.
you can show of level 2, 64% has been installed, and I can prove it with the photos, which I didn't open up, but I can open up. So we've got absolute proof. So if I come through here, I can look at my properties and open up the photos so they come across as well. So you can see we've got the little photos right here. So you really can display as much or as little as you like in these reports. So again, we can also turn off the stillage and shipping container for your progress claims because the builder probably doesn't care. You just want to make sure, and we've got some nice pictures of someone's lunch by the look of it right there. But you've got that proof, and we can also turn on dates. So it might be, the sign-off date from the installer. It's been ticked off by Jake on this date. So you've got all that information, and so that's how they're working with it. We're also going to be doing a integration with pay apps. So a lot of the tier 1 builders are now tier 1 and tier 2s are starting to use pay apps. So that'll become automated for you.
That's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for walking us through this, Zoe. That was a lot of really insightful stuff.
Cool. So I'll stop sharing my screen now unless there's any other questions.
No, not at the moment. And maybe we just take that as the opportunity to, yeah, do this final talking. These last, I said no slides earlier, but it's only really one more. And I can take over and just, yeah, just a reminder to everyone of those, how it, just kind of talk about literally how it works, right? We upload those drawings to our system. Our team makes those drawings interactive, which is one of those, it's one of those things where the fact that you can scan a QR code, it pops up the material card, and it's directly, you can see how that example of Victoria Place, right? You just see that on the drawing itself and can click an update. You can click multiple, the same experience you see on web, you get it on the mobile app as well. Being able to update status and information through that. And yeah, like Zoe was just sharing with us, those custom reports are extremely powerful. They really, it's how you get paid. It's how you share that work's been completed. It's how you share defects. It's how everyone can really in the system connect and really get benefit from everything. And honestly, just as a quick recap, right? It is about reducing time and money wasted that just through managing your materials in one system. You can bring into your current processes on how you get paid, like your progress claims for installers, your ITPs, your QA checks for manufacturing. It's all customizable to the process that you have already. And that's what's really great because everyone operates kind of a little bit differently. Like you mentioned, Zoe, manufacturers have their own set of QA checks, installers have their ITPs. Whether that's doing progress claims with photos, everyone has a different need, and we want to make sure that we're catering to everyone because we are of that subby first mentality and really want everyone to get benefit from it. And yeah, another thing about that question that came through about does everyone need to be on the system? Every role can benefit from Matrak independently, of course. However, the power of it is really getting everyone onto the system, using the mobile app to track install, using the mobile app to, or the dashboard inside on the site on site to see how things are changing in real time. The more people are on your project on Matrak, the more powerful it becomes. And yeah, leveraging those QR codes, right? It's so simple to have, like you said, you can put QR codes on stillages, on those materials, to manage those, for people to use on site, but then the teams that are building those reports, whether it's progress claims being sent to the CA or anything like that, then they can you see it in real time and you can use it immediately. And last, just a genuine reminder that supply chain visibility is really important. It's materials are a massive part of a build and they can derail the project timelines. And so the more control we have over that, the more control, whether through the audit history, chain of custody, on making sure it's the same panel throughout the journey, as an example, it's really beneficial to everyone and it keeps the project running really, really smoothly.
Absolutely.
Well, that's really it for us. I'll give a quick scan. We had heaps of questions throughout the session, but it looks like they've been answered. And if anyone does have any questions, of course, feel free to reach out. We're always here to chat. And if you want to see how this could work for you in your projects, whether you're a facade team or not, but obviously this was for facade, but facade or not, we do track every trade. And we work with every single type company, right? Whether you're a manufacturer, a supplier, an installer, head contractor, logistics companies. We want to hear from you. We want to see how we want to help you see value through material tracking. And so we'll be sending out a follow-up. Feel free to get in touch and talk to you next time.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.